The Indianapolis Motor Speedway Racing Museum sits right in the middle of the Indy 500 racetrack, and in that museum you will not find so much as one evidence of the 40 deaths that have occurred on the racetrack. Scott Goodyear said, in reference to these fatal crashes on the Indy 500, "You don't look at where it happened, you don't watch the films of it on television, you don't deal with it, you pretend it never happened. That's what you call denial." Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was the first to develop what she called the 5 stages of grieving. The first stage was denial. The second stage was anger. Third stage, bargaining. Fourth stage, depression. And the fifth stage, acceptance. Anytime a disturbing reality hits us, our first impulse is to deny it because it's just too painful to face. And that can work for us in the short term. But if we continue to deny things over the long term, we'll have this accumulation effect of problems mounting upon problems, never faced and never resolved. And as the problems mount, our desire to avoid them gets even more intense until finally we're in a state of complete denial. Addiction really feeds into this denial phenomena because in addiction, not only does the person's problem load tend to accumulate, financial problems, relationship problems as a result of the addiction, but also the brain is affected by the addiction in such a way that the mind is not capable of working through those problems, not capable of problem solving and of dealing with difficult emotional material. So oftentimes an addict will have such a huge problem accumulation that they will finally hit what we call the brick wall and be forced by the sheer weight of their compounded problems to face them. But unless they overcome the addiction, they will never be able to solve those problems. And this is why they go into treatment. The replacement for denial would seem to be truth, but honestly, sometimes truth is kind of overwhelming to face. So I like to say, let's mix in a little faith and hope with the truth, and that'll make it bearable. When we're dealing with denial involved in relationship problems, what often really helps us work through is to hope that the relationship can be resolved, can be healthy, can be happy again. So really, truth in and of itself is just too much for us to bear, but faith and hope make it bearable. Linus from the comic strip Charlie Brown said, "I don't like to face problems head on. I think the best way to solve problems is to avoid them. In fact, this is a distinct philosophy of mine. No problem is so big it can't be run away from." Well, Linus can be excused for running away from his problems because he's a child. But as the scriptures say, "When I became a man, I put away childish things." It's time for us to grow up and face our problems and work through them. But the passage goes on to say, "Now abides faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." Through faith and hope that we can actually work through the obstacles and difficulties in our relationships, we can arrive at relationship success. We can experience what it is to love and be loved. Now abide faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love.